Great thing to vibe to? Awesome, yeah, this game's wonderful. I hope for anyone who is experiencing it for the first time that this is a enjoyable experience, because I think this is truly a game that anyone who is interested in video games at all should play or watch at least once. There is really nothing like it. But yeah, before we talk about everything, man, Japhet is such a tragic story. The whole thing of just knowing of his inevitable fate of being killed and the fear of that potential future, hiding inside of a literal corpse in order to avoid it. It's a very powerful story. And I think my favorite part about it is how understated a lot of the themes in that area are. And most of my favorite areas in any game are like that, where they don't overtly tell you what it's about. But the tragedy of the judge seeing his own brother turned into nothing more than a puppet. You know, the judge seems like he knows everything, but this is the first time where it's like, oh, maybe he doesn't really know what's going on. Line of Off seems to be about things coming to an end. That's definitely an interpretation of it. I'm not really sure it's about anything, if I had to be honest. I don't think there's a... At least from the artistic perspective of, like, if I was gonna make this game, right? I don't think there was any direct intent. It's more so just meant to be thought-provoking. Which I think is the correct way to go about this sort of thing, right? Because, like, a lot of people, especially in, like, the literary space, will say X author meant Y thing because of this allusion and that. But truly, most artists do not write something with the intent for it to mean something else specifically. The meaning is ascribed by your own personal experiences and your own personal interpretation and all of that. For me, the library is very much the tragedy of isolation, the inability to take that next step forward because everything around you is so new and so uncertain, so you just stay in one spot. Which is a very personal thing for me, at the very least. It's you know, the paralyzing fear of change and all of that, despite, you know, as a person I absolutely adore change, but there is still that human part of my mind which abhors it and, you know, is cautious and learning how to overcome all that, and, you know, philosophical meanderings aside. Feels like stripping away a bunch of RPGisms and vibes from an RPG and just using that to tell a story? Yeah, definitely. I think the reason I enjoy this game so much is that it's very irreverent with its framing. It doesn't take itself too seriously, but it doesn't shy away from dark things. It just kind of is unabashedly itself. It doesn't try and, like, tongue-in-cheek pull out, like, haha, hey, look at you, you're a video gamer. I mean, half of Zachary's dialogue is him making fun of himself being a merchant, but that's his charm. And again, speaking of irreverence, like, the meta humor was not a very common thing back in this time. It was more common in RPG Maker game spaces, but as far as, like, the general gaming space goes, it was not a thing people really did. If you're thinking of, like, irreverent, fourth wall breaking meta humor games, you might think of Undertale or Doki Doki Literature Club, and all of those games came out way after Off. I think the only other one with some sort of just like, it's not that games didn't do meta humor, right? It's just, it was a lot more refreshing back then, I think is how I would put it. And I think that's why this game captured so many people, because it was in a place where a lot of things that we were seeing were all the same. And it was different. And it has a certain way that it captures you. It captures the imagination. Where if you feel the music, you see the art style. Everything about it is just evocative of this very specific feeling that can only be described as off. I really wouldn't put it any other way. And yeah, it started a trend, sure. But I think it's important to remember that starting a trend doesn't mean anything. Off is good because it's good. Off isn't good because of anything else, it's just itself. And I know a lot of people chase that. A lot of people chase the idea of following in the footsteps of making something as impactful. And I think those people forget that, at least with Off, it wasn't trying to do that. To make something that is memorable, you just have to make something entirely and wholly itself. And not let those like nagging feelings tell you, oh, this isn't how people do it, so I shouldn't do it this way. I don't know, I feel like there's a lot to talk about Off. It's fascinating too because of how much of a phenomenon it was when parts of it are so derivative too, at the same time. Like, the gameplay itself is nothing new, but it's not about the gameplay. It's about the incredible writing, the wonderful music, and the beautiful artwork. And that's why Off captured so many hearts. And I think really all you have to do is just look at it to see why. Like, even to this day, there really isn't anything else like it. And I know, I think I've mentioned before how important I think it is. We've had this talk of, like, outsider art, right? A very important thing from my perspective is just kind of following your own passion, beating your own trail, beating your own drum, all of that. And Off, a lot of it I don't think would have ever happened if it wasn't such a amateur project for Mortis. A lot of it is, well, I mean, by nature of being made in RPG Maker, right? RPG Maker is not an engine for people that are experienced developers, it's a engine that allows people who have an idea and want to make it, but maybe aren't as, experienced or skilled or are new to the genre to be able to make something. So, in and of itself, Off is imperfect, and I think that's another thing that makes it so memorable, at least to me, is that it's not afraid of being that. It just is what it is. And there are so many conversations to be had about how out of the way people go these days to polish things or trying to make them like... The only way I can really think to describe it quickly without going into a 30-minute discussion is like the Overwatch polish or the League of Legends polish, where all of the characters and designs and animations and voice lines and music, it all has this feeling of sameness, which on one hand is excellent for selling a product, but really it's like the difference between creating some sort of expressionist piece versus creating a print, for example. The original has more value than the copy, the replica. Think of games that are like Off, but any games that Off is like. Interesting. Off, to me, plays very similarly to Chrono Trigger. I would think that's the closest game to it, personally. Story-wise, vibes, music, gameplay. And yeah, there are games that are similar, but I wouldn't say any are directly the same. Because Off in and of itself is so good at being itself, right? I'd rather have a flawed game than a game with no imperfection but no substance. Yeah. I always say this when it comes to artwork, but I think it's more important to create and to share than it is to perfect. Because if you're perfecting, no one's ever going to see your work. So you're really not making anything. If you're worried about polishing all the corners and smoothing all the edges and making it the perfect, most marketable, most widespread generalization thing that's for everybody imaginable, well, yeah, you're making a game for everyone, but you're also making a game that is not going to be special to anyone. And maybe that's what you want. Maybe you want the general global appeal. There's nothing wrong with that. I merely just find myself analyzing why this game is so fantastic despite its obvious flaws, and I think it's a really interesting discussion point because there's a lot of, like, by nature of talking about why it's good, we are innately just already trying to comprehend it, which I think is the wrong approach, right? There is no... one shouldn't try and replicate off. One shouldn't try and make something like off. One should just be like, I enjoyed off. I want to make something where I enjoy that creation and that process of playing that thing or what have you, the same as off. I think that is the more healthy inspiration to take from it. And I think that's why you can see things like, again, if you say Doki Doki or Undertale are inspired by off, and yeah, they definitely were, but they were also their own thing. They didn't try to just be off again. They had their own thing to say. And that's why those two games in and of themselves are also arguably just as iconic, just as... saying the word masterpiece doesn't feel right, but I think they're probably some of the closest that we have in the gaming world to that. Perfecting just happens in creation. It doesn't, though. Perfection isn't real. Perfection's an opinion. I could show you a piece of my art and someone might say it's perfect, but I would disagree. Likewise, someone might look at an art in the Louvre and think that's perfect, but I'd disagree. There really isn't a real metric of what perfect is. So it's like you're comparing the perfection of off at selling its vibe, which I would argue it's perfect in that regards, versus the perfection of its gameplay, which it is not. More in a way of skill? But what is skill? What does that matter? An unskilled artist can create something just as perfect as a skilled one. If you think I'm wrong, go look at Doki Doki Literature Club again. That art is janky as fuck. But it fit the vibe. No, don't backpedal on it. You're saying something interesting, something worth talking about. The artistic struggle with perfection. It's a thing I think any artist can relate to. At this point, though, I think the thing I struggle the most with is arguing to other people that my imperfection is worth it, I guess. I have a very specific way of doing things that I enjoy, and some people don't like that. I think that's okay. But, it's hard for me to be 100% certain in my creation still, because hearing any negative stuff like that is just... there's that little voice in the back of your head that's like, well, maybe they're right. And I think fighting that voice is the most difficult thing any creative can do. But you gotta do it. Bad at art, but still draw anyways, because it's easier to put emotions into color than words from you? Yeah. Definitely. it's alright to be bad at art and still make art. Everyone's bad at art when they start. Literally every single person. And there are people that still don't get that, no matter how many times you tell them it. I'm just like, there are people that say they can't draw. Those people are some of the most infuriating people in the world to me. Because they can. Anyone can draw. Just because you're not doing it the same way you want to be doing it doesn't mean you're bad at it. It just means you have a journey ahead to get there. I mean, I look at the PNG tuber that I have right now. That is something I have wanted to be able to create. That specific art style. Like, I feel that I've finally hit the art style that I've wanted to have my whole life. But the early stuff I made was nowhere near that. Wasn't even close. It's been a multi-year-long, decade-long project or process of getting better at it, you know? And still continuing to get better at it. I guess what I'm trying to say is that personal improvement is way more important than what any fucking rando on the internet tells you. Just draw, dumbass! Yeah, exactly. God, this game gets me philosophical. Fucking Valerie Jaffet stuff. Ugh. Well, thank you everybody for watching. VOD's gonna go up on the channel as per usual, and I'm probably gonna stream the next chapter pretty soon because I really want to see what the fuck's up with that lion. Thanks for the existential crisis. You're welcome. Thumbs up, gorilla. Boils down to do the shit that makes you happy and makes you want to improve. Dude, that's literally that is everything. Every single conversation about creation boils down to that. It doesn't matter where you start, you'll get there. All roads lead to self-actualization. I feel like there's some sort of Buddhist mentality there that I could say or something, I don't know. Do good, make fun. There you go. Quote Buddha, circa 600 AD. I don't know. Buddhism in my tally streams? Hey, Buddhism's pretty cool. Do good, make fun, Buddha. Yeah, exactly. Sun Tzu said that.
And I think he knows a little bit more about art than you do, pal. Because he invented it, and then he perfected it.
Shoshin Fudushin? Is that that's the, like, making art that is temporary, right? And just kind of doing it based on vibes. Is that what that is? I've heard that before. Oh, beginner's mind and no mind. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's actually what I was talking about earlier. By complete accident, really ties into the whole beginner mindset. It was actually Okma the Caveman who perfected art. True! Have you seen Horse? Horse on Wall? Horse on Wall by Grug? Dude, I love Horse on Wall! If you say you can't draw, go make Horse on Wall. Go do it. It's the circle and the square. Not heard of this? Must check it out. I don't even know what I'm referencing, dude. It's just like cave art drawing of a horse, but he's really fat and chunky. It looks like it was made by someone from the 20th century. Hold on, let's see if I can find cave art fat horse. Yeah, here he is. You fat horse by Grug. I'm gonna put it on screen real quick. Damn it, this is a WebP file. No! I can't put a WebP on screen. That's not a real picture. Add image, Grug. Grug source visible, Grug. Okay, it was Grug. Where horse? There we go. It's this guy. You telling me horse by Grug is not perfect? I love horse by Grug. Amazing. Yeah, see, exactly. You can make horse by Grug. Anyone here can make horse by Grug. But you know, horse by Grug isn't cool because it was made by Grug or is a horse. It's cool because of the time it was made. So your art is cool because of the time you're making it. Think about all of the crazy innovations that's going to come down 5 or 6 millennia from now. Artists back here are going to be looked at just like Grug. Horse by Grug. We're all Grug, trying to make our own horses in this weird digital landscape, right? So don't take yourself too seriously, okay? Don't think too hard about it. Whatever you create, it's good enough. It really is, trust me. Thanks for the existential blessing. Hey man, I'm a positive nihilist. That's how I get by. If I can pass those vibes on to anyone else, I will. Nothing matters, and I'm glad it doesn't matter, because if it did, God, I would have a lot more anxiety. Hey, post your fan art of Horse by Grug in break time, and I'll show them next stream. Anyone out there who's struggling with art, draw Horse by Grug. I'm serious. Go do it. Grab a digital pencil right now. Draw Horse by Grug. Make your own little changes. Don't tell me what it is. Just make your own little altercation. Like, I don't know, give Grug a mohawk. Change Grug's color. Give Grug a 5th leg. You can do it. You can make new Horse by Grug. Miss Pulsmotter, Commander. Go get him. Go get him, champ. I might upload this segment just on its own. I feel like this is an important talk. One of the talks of all time. Art talk. No, I'm just gonna call the video Horse by Grug. I'm not gonna name it anything special. First one to draw Grug gets to be the thumbnail. I don't know. No, that's don't actually. That's not true. That's a lie. Please don't stress about this. It's meant to be fun. Why are you guys calling him Greg? Greg by Grug? Is his name Greg? Typo, I think. Going with it. Greg by Grug. Good night, everybody. Thanks for watching.